The exchange unfolded without warning and escalated immediately. A member of Congress addressed the Secretary of Defense directly, rejecting formality and demanding clarity. The tone was firm, controlled, and confrontational. From the first sentence, it was clear this would not follow the usual script of political hearings. The congressman opened by stating his opposition to the deployment of the National Guard Marines to Los Angeles. He emphasized his own background as a Marine veteran. He stated that Marines are trained as war fighters, not as domestic crowd control forces. He warned that using them in this role blurred legal and ethical boundaries. He argued that the deployment occurred against the wishes of local and state leadership. According to him, this decision risked escalating tensions rather than calming them. He described the move as political theater and accused the administration of intentionally politicizing the armed forces. The Secretary of Defense attempted to respond by referencing attacks on federal officers and the need to protect them. The response was not accepted. The congressman interrupted and demanded a yes or no answer. He rejected explanations, framing them as evasive and inappropriate for the seriousness of the issue. The exchange grew more tense as the congressman pressed on rules governing the use of force. He asked whether Marines were permitted to fire warning shots. After resistance, the secretary answered no. This moment marked one of the few direct responses during the exchange and highlighted the contrast between questioning and answering styles. The discussion then shifted to accountability. The congressman accused the secretary of refusing to take responsibility for past actions. He referenced alleged participation in a group chat where classified information was shared with unauthorized individuals. He claimed this conduct endangered service members. The secretary stated that all communications were authorized. The response did not de-escalate the situation. The congressman stated plainly that he had already called for the secretary's resignation. He said the secretary lacked the qualifications to lead and had failed to inspire confidence since confirmation. The criticism intensified. The congressman accused the secretary of breaking the law and failing to hold himself accountable. He stated that these failures alone made the secretary unfit to lead the Department of Defense. His tone remained direct and uncompromising. The questioning moved to foreign policy. The congressman asked whether the United States should continue supporting Ukraine. He again demanded a yes or no answer. The secretary attempted to redirect toward broader policy goals and presidential priorities. Repeated interruptions followed. The congressman insisted on a direct response, emphasizing the scale of U.S. spending and the seriousness of the decision. After sustained pressure, the secretary acknowledged support framed around peace efforts, though not in the direct form requested. The exchange continued with NATO obligations. The congressman asked whether the United States would honor Article 5 if a NATO ally were attacked. The secretary initially avoided a direct answer by referencing current conditions. The congressman reclaimed his time and forced a definitive response. Eventually, the secretary confirmed that Article 5 obligations would be upheld. The moment underscored the broader theme of the exchange, the difficulty in obtaining clear answers to foundational policy questions. The final line of questioning addressed loyalty. The congressman asked whether political allegiance was required to serve in the Department of Defense. Once again, he demanded a yes or no answer. The secretary rejected the premise of the question. At that point, the congressman ended the exchange. He stated that the secretary was not worthy of further questions. He called him an embarrassment to the country and unfit to lead. He cited bipartisan calls for resignation and urged him to step aside. The committee chair intervened, calling for decorum and order. The session moved on, but the impact of the exchange lingered. The confrontation was not defined by policy disagreement alone. It was defined by concerns over competence, accountability, and leadership at the highest levels of national defense.
Your resignation. You should just get the hell out and let somebody competently lead this department.
Mr. Chairman, do we not have any decorum in here?
Thank you very much. I yield my time.
Gentleman yields back. And I would urge everybody to remember and maintain a decorum suitable for this chamber with their further comments.
Representative Salud Carbajal didn't just challenge Pete Hegseth, he dismantled him in real time. As a former Marine, Carbajal exposed what many critics have been saying quietly. Deploying Marines for domestic crowd control isn't strength, it's political theater. And when pressed on rules of force, classified information leaks, Ukraine, NATO Article 5, and loyalty to Trump versus the Constitution, Hegseth repeatedly tried to dodge with talking points. That's when Carbajal went nuclear. Calling the Secretary of Defense an embarrassment to the United States isn't just rhetorical heat. It's a signal of collapsing confidence inside Congress itself. The most damning moment wasn't the insult. It was how long it took Hegseth to answer basic yes or no questions that kindergartners could answer. This wasn't about policy disagreement. It was about competence, accountability, and whether the Pentagon is being led by loyalty or by law.